share it. We live. Okay, so
All
um,
right.
my dad was with Fifth Group, Air Assault, Air Calf. He killed men, women, and children. Uh, he loved it. Um, he was a monster. Unconventional warfare. He was a Green Beret, so that's what they do. Um, and one day, he shared something with me, and since then, and even then, this was like I was like fucking 15, 16 when he told me, and I still joined the army. But what better way to be a part of something when your father is basically giving you intricate detail and knowledge on how to succeed? I mean, he told me rules and regulations are never meant to be broken, but you can manipulate them. So my military career, I wasn't a shitbag, I wasn't a bad person, but I was able to operate within those guidelines to make it easier on myself. I saw fat, out of shape white guys pencil whipping their PT tests and pencil whipping their height and weight when knowing goddamn well they could never they're failing tape. So I learned the good and the bad. So it brought everything full circle. But early on, when he told me, he said he did things with the CIA. If you're familiar with the CIA, there's a thing called Special Activities Division and Political Activities Division. Special Activities Division embodies a lot of and also employ the top tier echelon of every military uh, place. SEALs, Green Beret, and all the Ricky Tick Recons. And yeah, my dad was responsible for killing GIs, all to spin the web to the media. So because during that day it was like stop the war, like bring the soldiers home. You remember, peace, peace, no war, whatever. Well, when you look on the news and say today, the news, 10 GI were killed by the North Viet Cong, it was actually, unfortunately, my fucking dad. You know what I'm saying? And other people that actually did that shit for the propaganda machine of the United States government. And when he told me that, I was taken back because I was like, I've never heard that. I was like I literally looked at him like, you were fucking wrong for that. He was like, that's just the nature of it. That's the government. This is what they do, and read a book called My Jihad. Aaron somebody, I don't know if you heard of it, Jolly. He basically reiterates the same thing about the government knowing things within the Middle East about HVTs, about the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the CIA being aware of everything that's going on and letting things happen so a reason can be given to employ or deploy or do certain tactics. And I tell you, knowing that I still joined the military, I looked at it like this. I don't like to make a deal with the devil, but if I can provide something for you and I do it, as long as I don't break a code or break your rule, I may or may not know how you are, but if I know at the end of the day I can cash out, then that's what I'm gonna do. I mean, a lot of people being black, black men don't have a place in the army or in the military. I can tell you a lot of my leadership, some of my best leadership is in the army. Uh, I saw really successful black women in the army. Uh, so yeah, man. I made a deal with the devil, knowing everything, and still came out. I'm psychologically fucked up, but I'm paid for the rest of my life. But yeah, the government's fucked up. To add into what Jolly was saying, the government's fucked up. They don't really care about us. And if I know you don't give a fuck about me, then it makes it easier for me to do what I have to do to capitalize financially. And if I have to play your game, I'm going to learn it to be able to fare good at it, to average at least 20 points a fucking game. And, and that's just the meat and potatoes of my overall ideology in regards to being a veteran, being in the military while knowing how this government works. You know, Sometimes you got to pimp Peter to pay Paul. You know, Call me Sugar Wolf, I guess. You know what I mean? So
Right. And something I okay, Lloyd. Lloyd, I want to thank you for coming on. you definitely contributed to the conversation. I will thank you for your service since you want to thank you.
I'm leaving because Jolly ran me off. We don't have the same views.
Cause I ain't getting ready to thank that motherfucker for his service. That's why.
Hey. We don't got the same views, so I'm telling you, and then when Eddie said I'm taking Jolly's side, I don't like that, so I gotta go. I'm done with y'all. Nah. No. But honestly, I honestly do have the same views as my two brothers, and so eloquently said when Jolly said it, and then Eddie, his cosign was awesome, so I don't have to beat a dead horse. All I'm gonna say is, all war is murder.
Yep.
All right, all war is murder. Period. And he's right. We were used as pawns to disrupt other nations in the interest of American people.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
all the time.
What'd she say?
All the time. We use as pawns in order to do what America wants us to do. All the time.
Yep. And so all I'm gonna say is, hey, I don't celebrate no holidays. I don't celebrate a Veterans Day, but I will go to Foco de Chao and get my 50% off. My wife already got we already got our arrangements to go there to get 50% off some lamb chops. I am gonna do that, but I don't, like I said, there's not a holiday. There's not a holiday in the year I celebrate except for everybody's birthday. Other than that, hey, I do appreciate my brothers and sisters who served. Thank y'all for your sacrifice, being away from your families, and the sacrifice of putting your own life on the line. That's the sacrifice I thank you for, but not what you sacrificed for this American experiment. But other than that, y'all have a good night. I love you all. Y'all take care, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Be good, brother.
Thank you so much for coming on, Lloyd. I really appreciate it. Have a good night. And tell Lisby say hey.
Will do.
So the next thing that I want to discuss, Jolly went ahead and mentioned it before he entirely broke the internet and pissed off Kevin, our FBI agent. I want to talk about homelessness and suicide rates of service members, of veterans.
Man.
It is something that, and I don't say this lightly, it is a full-on epidemic.
Okay, since you said homelessness, I gotta say something now.
Go ahead, Lloyd. Go ahead.
And before you say something, let me just say this: you're not welcome for my service. You said thank you when you left, and I wasn't gonna say that, but you popped back in.
All right, hey, it's just, I'm sorry. She said homelessness, and I used to work as a case manager for veterans who happen to be homeless, and in fact, we had a meeting today about that in the organization I work in, and people don't understand that the same revolving door as a drug addict goes through, that's the same door that those who happen to be homeless go through, because we work hard to get homeless, those who happen to be homeless off the streets, but we don't work hard keeping them in their homes. You see, people get paid for helping people who happen to be homeless. And if we were to solve the entire homeless problem, all those nonprofits who get paid off of people being in the streets wouldn't get paid no more. So they set a cap of a limit of how much you can make. I'll tell you, as a case manager, that cap was a little bit under $11 an hour. Once you made $11 an hour here in San Antonio, you're above the cap where they can't help you anymore. Okay, so once you're at the $23,000 a year, it's a little bit like it's right below $24,000 a year. Once you get to that cap, you can't get assistance. So if you're a person who stayed in our RCV, which is a residential center for veterans, once you were there, they were scared to death to leave because they understood they would go, and because the job that they had to take at either Toyota or a box company, that they knew that they could not sustain their living, their self-living, then what happens is they would once again be evicted. They have to go back to the streets and then go all the way back through the process of coming right back into the residential center for vets, because we do not allow them. Now, some do make it out, and that's just like, oh, some black people are billionaires. Yeah, a small portion will make it out and get a good job, but all of them, but they are banking, they're truly banking that they continue the cycle, because they don't address the things that they need to address, such as the mental condition of being homeless. Now, in the last year, they did pass legislative laws that people who could that people who experience homelessness now can get VA disability connection. Now, it's non-service connected disability, but because they're homeless, they get non-service connected disability and now get more money because it's a problem. And so now they're saying, hey, them being homeless it's now a mental condition, and they're now conditioned to that, because some of them still, in fact, it's to the point where some people who happen to be homeless don't even want to go to a center. They'll rather just be like, I don't want to deal with the BS of paying bills. I don't want to deal with no one's BS. I just want to sit out here on the street because at least this is mine. So, no, that's what I've seen. That's why I've spoke to people who's been on the street. A lot of them are scared to death of what we consider normal life, because they said that they know that they cannot reintegrate into this American project. And so a lot of them just say, we'd rather stay amongst our, and when they say our people, I'd rather stay against those people who understand who we are, and we'd rather sit right here and we don't need no one's help. Yeah, we'll go when y'all feed us, but we don't really want y'all help, because at the end of the day, everyone's exploiting that person that happens to be homeless for their gain in their program. And that's all.
Man, they basically, the military basically, like I said, it's the largest gang in the world. When you join the military, you are joining the largest gang in the nation. What happens when you try to leave the gang? Is you either gonna have to learn how to survive on your own, because you ain't got the protection of this no more, or you gonna die. They do not care about what happens to you. They do not care if you are struggling, how you gonna get out. They, for a while, they weren't even issuing out the BAH when it came to the GI Bill. I was lucky enough that when I did get out, I was able to get BAH with my GI Bill, which means I'm getting a monthly housing allowance just for being in school. But it got to the point where I'm only going to school just so I can make an income, because if I'm working out here, I'm still not making enough in order to sustain for me and my son at the time. I get 110%, not 110%. I get 10% for the VA for disability. $130 is not gonna do nothing. What does that do? I was lucky enough to have the SSVF and them help me out when I was homeless. My parents also helped me out, but when it came down to it, I needed to utilize programs through the VA. With HUD, you have to make a certain amount, and you're basically going through, like, it's basically getting you a jump start on the list. Like, you become an urgent case on anything for rental assistance or housing assistance. And even with that, they weren't trying to qualify me into even be able to qualify to get into that program. So with me even remotely having a job, and I'm still making the bare minimum, they were like, well, you'll have to pay this and we're only paying this amount. That's still not affordable. I still have to buy food. Or you try to get food stamps, and then when you get a job, you only get $16 in food stamps. Okay, I went from having this amount and now I'm having $16. Now I got to worry about how to budget this, because when I was on this, I was able to do this. But the military, basically, they throw you out there and they're like, okay, you good to go. When you get out, they're giving you classes, but the classes aren't preparing you for what civilian life is. This is a whole new real world for you. So there's nothing to transition you from being in the military to a civilian, which is why a lot of military people end up going into the police department or into the fire department, because it's giving you a sense of something. That's what you were used to in there.
Lauren, you touch up on it. The military takes a lot of time to teach you to be a soldier, but then they give you 2 weeks to learn how to be a civilian. It's a damn shame.
Let me say this. Someone mentioned Shantae, I think her name was Shantae Wilder. She said something. I didn't want to get lost in the comments. Yes, we don't have a good transitional program ASAP, but not ASAP, but ACAP. But after sitting back, because I go through counseling too. Can't you tell? I've come to the conclusion that we as veterans need to understand we'll never fucking fit in this society. Never. See, they're trying to take what we've been indoctrinated into, how we were able to change our thought process to problem solve. Like, I know for a fucking fact, Jolly, you feel how you feel, but God damn it, you still got that mind. Lloyd, you still got that mind. You problem solve the same. You're not a fucking civilian. You're veterans. So what a lot of veterans run into is that they're trying to fit into a society that, I hate to say it, in some aspects supersedes. You can't dumb down people. We were trained, we were conditioned. We think, we move, we operate completely different. To get people to try to unlearn these things or to do this to fit in, no. This is why when people take medication, the veterans they drink because they can't fit in. So I start telling veterans, don't fucking fit in. Make people fit into you. You know, because my humblest opinion, I can run circles around law enforcement. Law enforcement are trained off of watered down doctrine and SOP field manuals that we train to standard to. So where outside of legal power, where do veterans stand at? Like, we're just not regular civilians. We're a little bit up here. I hate to say it. We're up here. We can never. That's like fucking taking a dude who sat down for 15 years in the pen. When he comes out, you can, okay, so now you have to, fuck you. This is who I am. Either you gonna fuck with me or I'm gonna fuck you up. Not in the sense of being aggressive, but you know what I'm saying? You can't have people dumb down. If you're a scholar, you can't dumb down. A person has to learn up. You know, how do we say it? Don't check down, or don't check up, check down. I mean, in the sense, it's like opposite. Like, so I tell veterans, don't fit into this society. Society's fucked up anyway. Embrace who you are. Take what you've learned, how you think, how you problem solve, how you handle things, and teach people. Have people be like, wow, you know what? I never thought of that. I don't fit in no more. I don't try to be a civilian, because me telling myself something I'm not, eventually it's going to cause me to fail. You have to just accept it for who you are. You're a fucking veteran. And the moment you accept that and don't try to fit in and just brace that, you'll be good. And trust me, if you take time to think about it, it will definitely alleviate a lot of the stress that goes on trying to fit into a society. We always hear, they don't understand our language. You don't think a certain way. Fuck them. Stop trying to fit in that society. They're fucking weak.
Well, I'm gonna say this in basically what you're talking about, because Lloyd hit the nail on the head. I've been saying this for a long time. when it comes to the VA, when it comes to PTSD. The fact is, the military trains you to go to war. The military trains you how to operate when you're cold, wet, tired, and hungry. That's how we were trained to operate. If you can't do it when you're cold, wet, tired, and hungry, you can't do it. And that's what they do. They don't train you to come back from combat. That's not how they train you. I mean, you know, I got command referred back in 2009 to go to counseling for PTSD, and was in counseling for a long time. I was in community mental health CMH for a month before I was allowed to leave because I was command referred. And I think for me, the hardest transition back was simply transitioning from being 24 hours on alert, head on a swivel, to like when you come back. My first time coming back from actually, I think it was the second time when it really hit me. Coming back from Iraq, and you come back to America, it's like there was no war going on. America's back here just being America. People are walking around. They're going to fucking Starbucks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I got fucking mad. Like, real story, true story. I just got back from Iraq, my second deployment, and I was in an airport, and I went to a Popeyes. I love fucking Popeyes. It's my fucking shit. So I went to a fucking Popeyes in the airport, and I wanted me some, fucking chicken. And the lady, I was in Georgia. I was in Atlanta airport, and she was like, "Hey, sweetie, how you doing? What can I get for you?" And I cussed her out. That's the fuck you so happy for? Fuck you. You can't get me shit. And I went off. I don't know. Like, looking back, I really feel bad about it. Like, but I was pissed off that she was in such a good fucking mood, because literally 5 days ago I was in fucking Iraq, and we were doing silly shit, and the military didn't prepare me for that. They really prepared me how to operate in a combat zone when I'm cold, wet, tired, and hungry. They did not prepare me how to operate in the Atlanta airport when the lady's too nice. And then you extrapolate that from not even preparing you to come back from combat. They definitely, as Lloyd said exactly correctly, they definitely don't prepare you to go into the civilian world. They just don't do it. In matter of fact, there's so many skills that we learn in the military that are actually quite useful in the civilian workforce. Lots of skills. They have nothing to do with your military occupational specialty. I mean, just the simple skills of, leadership skills, risk management. These things apply in the civilian workforce in almost every job you have. And everybody in the military learns these things at a very early rank. So, but they don't spend enough time teaching soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, how to interpret what you did in the military into the civilian world. So then you get in the civilian world and find out everybody wants a goddamn resume. You don't know how to fucking write a resume. Like, this shit matters, and the military does it, like, very briefly on the way out. I forget, what do they call that shit when you're getting out? You got to go to
ACAP.
ACAP. Thank you. That's right.
No, it's called TAP now, you guys. ACAP is
TAPS.
It's TAP now.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's
Transition
I'm
Assistant
old
Program.
yeah. I went to
ACAP. I'm ACAP in battle. Hell yeah.
Are you ACAPing, baby? Let's go. Hey, but look, that's it, during ACAP or TAPS or fucking whatever new acronym they have, you learn, like, literally very briefly, and that's it. But leading up to a deployment, goddamn it, you're training daily. We're in the range every day. Every day. And then after you get done all that training, and you go to NTC or JRTC, whichever one you get sent to, and then you go to downrange, you still got to go through another week of training in Kuwait and or Manus, depending on where you go, Iraq or Afghanistan, before you go in country. It's train.
Jolly. We're talking, and I love the fact that Jessica is just absorbing all this shit. But you mentioned something, and I think we should me, you, and Lloyd. Sorry, Lauren. I don't think you went down there. I think we should introduce her to NTC. Good old Dust Bowl.
Okay,
all right.
I can give you NTC in about 5 minutes if you want.
Hey, I mean, outside of it just being a big bold desert, just imagine, Jessica, being in a desert, just a big training center where people grade you on your performance, but it's just a fucking dust.
It's simulated war.
Yeah, simulated war. It's imagine being in the desert, Dust Bowl, winds. It's the worst place to be, but you know, if you ever want to gauge people of, you know, stolen valor, people talk about I've been the boom boom. Just say, what about NTC? And if they can't, if they don't go like this, oh my fucking god, they're bullshit. If a person does not feel some way about NTC or mention coyotes, they've never fucking been.
hey,
Yo,
hey,
I'm
hey.
asking everybody that.
Hey, wait. Hey, you know the one thing I hated about NTC, right?
What's that?
Is
The food.
no. They
I'm
have
fat,
all these people. They have all these shitters sitting right by each other without no
Oh
without
God.
nothing without a partition.
Yeah.
So everybody just sitting
The
right
whole
next to
banks
each other.
of them.
A whole
Yeah, I
lot of
remember
line
that
of
shit.
shitters.
And it's
And you
hot as
basically just
fuck.
sitting
And
down.
then the showers,
and the thing is, you
are
and look,
parallel. The showers.
Straight up,
and
like there's better
water.
fucking facilities in
but
countries.
listen,
There's
but
better
listen.
facilities in countries than NTC got.
Listen. If you go in the middle of the night to take a shit, right? You're the only one in there. Some other dude's gonna come in there with 20 shitters that he can choose from. He gonna want to sit right next to you.
Yep.
Are you serious? Oh,
Mate,
hey,
hey,
shitters,
hey,
and you want to come
just
sit
wanna
next
hold
to me?
Hey, motherfucker, you ain't never held hands when you took a shit. Motherfucker, you ain't lived life yet.
Oh
Yeah,
my
but
God,
military
this is
experience about
bad.
that's NTC in the whole, Jessica.
I
It's
never
just
would have made it. I
when
never would have made it.
you would have made it.
Hang on. We're talking about NTC stories. Let me tell the thing I hated the fucking most about NTC. First of all, they put the whole goddamn unit in this big ass GP large, right? Like the whole fucking unit's in this big tent.
Yep,
right?
big ass white tent.
Fucking guy, you got one cot, you got to shove all your shit underneath the cot. And then the thing about it is, when you're in the bowl, you're in active war. You gotta always play like you're in war when you're in the bowl.
Yep.
But then when it's over, they got a little shopette nearby. You can walk to the shopette.
Or the gut truck roll up.
Yeah, or the gut truck roll up. But other than that, it was really shitty chow. But here's what's funny about it. Like nearby NTC, there's actually restaurants and shit, but you can't leave and go to them if you're in NTC because you're training for combat, right? And it's just fucking. I remember literally that had me more mad than anything. Like I was fucking upset, right? My first time going to NTC because I like food. I'm a foodie. I'm a food fucking snob. I fucking thank you. I love food. That's why when I got out of the military, I got fat, right? That and beer. And so
it didn't take the military for me.
Yeah, well, in the military, I was my wife actually. Long story, she used to be in my platoon. We did not mess around. I was a platoon sergeant. She was a PFC, but we didn't mess around. Nothing. Didn't even date or nothing. But anyway, she used to hate going to PT with me because I would run the fucking platoon into the goddamn ground. Like I was a PT stud. Now I'm fat, and that's because I love food. Well, here I was in fucking NTC eating, like you said, the gut truck or food from the shopette or a bullshit ass fucking field chow.
MRE.
Yeah, or MRE. And
Bro,
I was angry. And then I ran across day 3. I was there on my first time going there. I ran into a guy who I knew. I was a sergeant E5. He was a staff sergeant. I guess he got promoted faster than me. But he was one of the fucking OCs there, one of the graders.
Ooh.
He was like, "Yo, you in NTC?" I said, "Yeah, bro. What's up?" So I like snuck out that evening with him and linked up with him, picked me up in his car, and then took me down the strip. There was all these restaurants, and I got so mad. Wait a minute. Why they got us in here living like fucking trash? All these fucking restaurants out of this motherfucker.
Look, so we didn't have that experience on the ship. Now the food was nasty. Don't get me wrong.
I've heard that about Navy
food
shit.
Was nasty, disgusting. I remember when I first got to my second ship. I was on the amphib LHA-4. I ended up decomming that ship too. They were doing a tiger cruise and they decided to do lobster tails and stuff, and I got so excited, like, oh, this boat serving lobster tails. I'm fancy. Them things was dry as hell. They was dry.
Hey, tell me something, Lauren. If they serve you lobster tails, I heard this, and tell me if it's true or not. I heard in the Navy, if you get steak and lobster, that meant your motherfucking deployment was getting extended.
No, so no.
Okay, that's what I always heard.
If they did that, because the deployment, when I got onto the Nassau, they just came off of a deployment, and every time they would make it to the point where they getting ready to get a free day, You know, they get to drink. They'll do this thing where if you out to sea and straight out to sea for a certain amount of days, you get a holiday. So you get to drink and everything. They give you liquor on the ship. But every time they would get close to that day, they make them pull into port. So they couldn't get it. But they ended up going to Dubai, Djibouti, Haiti, when Haiti ended up having the earthquake that
Right.
year. All of that, it was nuts.
I got a question. I got a question for you.
Food was
You
disgusting
say
though.
the
I would never be able to survive on the army food because that shit. One, I looked at it and I was like, "What the fuck? Y'all gotta add water to this shit." Or I was watching how y'all was making. It was like a breakfast omelet. I threw up in my mouth.
And Maurice,
I
hey
threw up.
Lauren, I got a question for you. Answer this. So, like in the army, we have different. Like, if the DFAC food is shitty, we can go off post, whatever. If we're in the
You can't
field,
go off post in the middle of the
and I'm
ocean.
getting,
No,
and I'm
that's
getting
why
there.
the
I'm
fuck
getting
I
there.
would not go to the Navy. Fuck the
And
Navy.
we have MREs, which chicken pesto, chili mac was one of my favorites. But my question is, on your ship, if the food in the DFAC is shitty, do you guys do you have like stores does a ship have, is it that big? Because I've never been on a big ass ship. So could you go to like a store and get like milk and cereal? Or
They
some
got
shit like that?
shopettes.
My first ship, we had a ship store, and it wasn't big. It wasn't as like big like you would think it's big. But you could go in there, you could buy chips, noodles, cereal, little snacks and stuff. Otherwise, like the salad was always good, especially if you made your own dressing. And when I went craking, that was the best stuff because I was doing on the job training with the CSs, and I was able to cook a lot of times. So yeah. You had the ship stores. I used to get lost on the Nassau a whole lot because it was an amphib. And amphibs are like, the amphib I was on is like a small carrier. And it was one ship store on there too. Carriers usually have 2 or more ship stores. And a carrier is like a whole city in itself. You're not gonna know everybody on that boat. On
That's
that ship.
crazy.
Like,
That's
but the
fucking
DDG
crazy.
that I was on, it was one of the small ones. So you have a cruiser, a frigate, or a frigate, a cruiser, and then the DDG. Then you have the amphibs, and then the carrier. And they were also creating a new one. Look up the USS Independence. But the small boys only had one store, and my ship, yeah. But I used to go in there and buy all of this stuff, especially when we went to Panama, Peru, and El Salvador. They was giving us goat milk. Oh, that was disgusting.
Hey,
Look,
when you go to port, hold up. When you go to port, can you bring stuff back on the ship?
Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. We weren't allowed to go off the pier in El Salvador because at that time they were kidnapping people and holding them for ransom.
Bro, that shit would
But
be fun as fuck.
You had
wouldn't
an opportunity to do that. I heard about the Panama Canal. Like, I've
yeah,
always
I
wanted to
went through there.
travel that. I've always, because they said it's a thing where they lift you up and move you, and
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I've
yeah.
always wanted to experience that. And you had a chance to do
Um,
that.
they pick up the whole
I
goddamn ship?
actually, so in the Panama Canal, like they raise and lower the water in order for you to get through.
No shit.
So
If you watch it on
take
YouTube,
you,
it's a trip, but to be a
I'm
part
gonna
of
go
it, I'm
YouTube
sure it's
that
a whole
shit now.
different experience.
I'm high right now
it,
too. That's
it,
about to be
Yeah,
fucking lit.
yeah.
yeah.
Same
So
here.
it take you a while. Like it took us. Did it take us a whole day? I ended up becoming a shellback on the ship on that deployment too. But you go through the Panama Canal, and then you sitting there in that canal, and then you rise up, and then when you go into the next one, it's like they open the door for you to go into the next one, and then they lower you down, like it's like a roller coaster.
That shit is wild, bro.
But I'm gonna say,
That's
I'm
wild.
gonna say this as an outsider looking in. I'm gonna say this real quick. I can do the shitty food. I can go ahead and do the physical requirements. But what I am still stuck on is I cannot shit right next to someone in a hole and because
and in
I can hold
the
their hand.
You just
Trust
gotta
me,
hold
I
hands,
did it for
bro.
3 months. and
I
it
can
Just hold
was-
hands,
shower
bro.
next to somebody. I can
On the-
pee
on the
next to
tip.
somebody. But the minute
the
I gotta
tip.
take a shit, I'm not
Look.
apologizing either.
You're gonna
shit.
shit in basic
In the
training.
military, you're gonna learn how to piss next to somebody, shit next to somebody, fuck
Yeah.
next to somebody. You got all kinds of shit going on.
in motherfucking basic training. If your ass was in the army, you would be shitting in that goddamn porta potty.
Let me say something too.
You will.
I'm so glad I kept my
I
fat
never
ass
did
home.
this
I'm
before.
sorry.
Let me just say something about this right here. If I was in the Navy and this motherfucker was raising the ship up, every goddamn time I'm gonna play Rise Up. As soon as I'm gonna have a speaker, I'm gonna annoy everybody. Rise up, rise
Hey,
like the
That-
wave.
you would get in trouble like a motherfucker, but somebody be like, "Here we go."
There you go.
Hey,
Hey,
now,
This
about to get
motherfucker.
trouble.
hey, you know what I've always found crazy about the Navy? The Navy like a whole nother world. Like there's the military and there's the fucking Navy. They
The
got like,
world's finest.
I mean, I ain't say all that, but look, the world's finest Navy. I get you that. But look, it's what's crazy about the Navy is like just little things. Like, okay, in the military, you get an Article 15, which, by the way, shout out to Jolly. I got 6 Article 15 in my career. True story. But
What is an Article 15?
right,
What is
about
an
to tell
Article?
you.
'Cause I feel like that's fucking impressive.
No,
All right, so-
Article 15 is far from impressive. Article 15 mean you done fucked up.
Yeah, you got
That's
trouble.
Right. That's why I'm saying it's impressive. He got 15 of them motherfuckers.
No,
I got
he got
6 of 'em.
six.
Impressive.
You done fucked up now, AA
No, he
Ron.
has
So,
six.
six, Article 15. Okay, Article 15. Just so you know, is and the Army calls it Article 15. Navy calls it Captain's Mast. The Marines call it Page 11, and then the Air Force. I think Air Force does everything the Army does because they started with us. So anyway, Article 15 is not a good thing. Okay, you got in trouble.
Nah, it's not.
And most people, there's people that do like 20 years, might get 1, might get 2, but most people get none. A lot of people complete their military career without any Article 15. So I got 6 of them. Okay, but this kind of goes back to our earlier conversation too. It actually didn't hurt my military career that much. So let me explain why. My first Article 15, I was in AIT, that's Advanced Individual Training. It's where you go for your job training.
That don't
okay?
count.
All right. So I was in my job training, learning how to be a job. And the way that the barracks is set up is you got a male wing and a female wing. And males are not allowed on females' wings, and females are not allowed on male wings. And so I had a female in my room, and she's not supposed to be there. And we were doing things we're not supposed to do in AIT. We're in the front line arrest position face to face, right? And so, so anyway, I was having sex in my barracks room. You're not supposed to have sex in your barracks room. No, you're supposed to have a female in there. And so I got called, and so I got an Article 15. And then
Was it a
after I
field grade or summary?
no, it was like a company. I think it might have been summary. It was either company grade, summary grade. I can't remember.
Okay.
I think it was summary, to be fair with you, like under company or whatever. Like 7. I got 7 days restriction.
Yeah.
Anyway,
summary.
Yeah. And so anyway, I graduated my advanced individual training, and I went to the language school because I was a linguist. I learned how to speak Korean. I'm fluent in Korean even now.
My man.
And so I was at the Defense Language Institute in Monterey, California. And when you're in the barracks for 6 months, after 6 months, they move you to what's called Up the Hill. And Up the Hill is another barracks where there's no CQ. CQ are the people that check you in or that guard the door. Okay, it's just without explaining the whole thing, it's a rotating guard duty that people get put on. Well, Up the Hill, there is no CQ, so nobody checks you in and out. But you still had curfew 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, everybody's got to be out of your barracks room, right? If they don't live in the building. So one time I had 2 visitors, 2 civilian visitors. Both of them were females, and we all became interested in each other, and started exploring each other. And I obviously wasn't watching the clock. Like, well, let's stop this threesome. It's 9 o'clock, so I wasn't paying attention. And about 9:30, I heard somebody knocking on my door, and I'm like, "Yo, go away, bro! Like, not now." and I heard, "This is Sergeant Reed." I'm like, "Oh fuck!" And so I'm like, hang on. So these two girls, they run into the bathroom and close the bathroom door, and I threw my shorts on real quick and I opened the door. What's up, Sergeant? He's like, "No, bro, it's too late. Like, I already heard everything happening in this room. Let's get them out." I mean, all right, you gotta give me a minute. So close the door. Everybody gets dressed. The girls leave. I got my second Article 15. That one I got a field grade. Just to be.
I'm just gonna stop you right there. How many of these Article 15s involved you being a hoe?
4, and that's my whole point.
Fucking Jolly, man.
Nobody first. Jolly the Ginger, when he was serving, was a hoe.
But like I do feel bad about those stories, but that actually proves the point that we were talking about earlier. Like, as a dude, I was getting fucking trouble left and right. I got to Korea, my first duty station. You're not even allowed to have overnight guests.
Hold on, battle. Where was you at in Korea?
The first time, actually, I can't say the first time. Every time I was in Yongsan the whole time, but I did travel the country a lot.
Because I was up there in Camp Castle. I was actually at Camp Castle up the street from Casey.
Yeah, I did multiple deployments there multiple duty stations there because of I was a Korean linguist. So, but I was at Yongsan every time. But because of my job, I got bounced around. But yeah, you're not supposed to have overnight guests. I had a girl that stayed in my civilian girl stayed in my room for like 11 days straight or something like that until I finally got busted. Yeah, dude. Anyway. So I got Article 15 for that. And then my fourth Article 15. Oh, I remember that one. So my fourth Article 15. You're not. So in the military, enlisted. There's a thing called fraternization. So once you're like
you fucked an officer.
Yes, I got busted with a lieutenant, and so so that was my fourth Article 15. But
holy shit!
But the point is, the point I'm getting at in saying all that is, like, it didn't even hurt my career. Like, it didn't slow down my promotions. And like I was saying earlier, it's pretty common to go your whole military career with no Article 15.
Yeah.
And people that do,
I didn't get one.
You didn't get one?
No, but they were going to send me up for destruction of government property when I broke my ankle.
Yeah, I got sent to anger management command referred because I broke government property.
Petty shit. You broke your ankle? Yeah, you're gonna.
Yeah, I broke my ankle in 3 places, and they were really. So this is what. So they, how they always tell you when you play, it leads to sick bay. I don't know if y'all had a sick bay, but we had a sick bay, and so I'm from Milwaukee, and one of my shipmates, we're not supposed to say that, was from Chicago. So my dad being born in Chicago, me having family in Chicago, I got real cool with him because I know a lot about Chicago. He know a lot about Milwaukee. So we from the north, we ain't got to deal with these southern people. It's comfort. We became really, really good friends. And that day I was supposed to go get a new ID because they confiscated it at the gate. It was raggedy because I always pulled it out like, I'm in the military, give me my discount, or let me in because I'm in the military. So I always showed my military ID wherever I went. So it was a little raggedy, and they had to confiscate it at the gate. So I was supposed to go get me a new one, but at that time I was cranking, and a lot of the other people who were cranking too were complaining that they had stuff to do. So I was just like, you know what, I'll stay, and maybe I'll just go get it later, or I'll get it tomorrow. And they were like, cool. So when he came down, because he worked in the officers' cabin, he came down. I jumped on his back.
Oh, shit.
I jumped on his back. And, like, just being goofy, jumped on his back. And when I got down, I started falling in slow motion in my head. I was falling in slow motion because that's how it went. And I was like, oh, no, I'm going to break my wrist because of how I was falling down. And I ended up, my foot went one way, my ankle went the other way, broke it in 3 places. So they heard me from the forecastle to the fantail on my first shift. And they were going to send both of us up for destruction of government property. And I had to call and I said, why would you send him up when he didn't do nothing? I jumped on him. So if anybody getting in trouble, it's going to be me. But then how y'all going to get me on the bridge? Because I can't go up there. I'm on crutches. Y'all going to carry me up and down? Y'all going to carry me to the bathroom? How I'm supposed to get up the ladders and stuff? I never ended up going for captain's mask or nothing.
But you know what's crazy about the Navy? If you get a captain's mask, here's the thing about the Navy. In the Army, if you get an ARCA 15, trust me, I'm an ARCA 15 motherfucking expert. If you get an ARCA 15 in the Army, you can decline the ARCA 15 and take it to trial. You're allowed to do that. That's military. I can say, nope, I refuse the ARCA 15. I want to go to trial, you know, which obviously is stupid if it's some dumb shit. Because in the Army, you can get ARCA 15 for whatever. But in the Navy, interesting fact, in the Navy, if you're on a ship and receive a captain's mast, which is Article 15, just different language. If you get Article 15 on a ship in the Navy, you cannot refuse captain's mast. You must take it. So like the difference there is in the Army, I can say, fuck you, I'm innocent, I want to, right? I wouldn't say that with having a girl in my room, but I'm just saying you could. But in the fucking Navy, fuck your peers, fuck your right to a jury. If you get a captain's mast, you must accept it. You can't. There's nothing you can do about it.
Check this out. I was in basic training. Remember, I explained how my dad told me how the Army was. You know, they played tricks on you, mind game, whatever. So I thought everything the drill sergeants did was like some way to make you fuck up so you can do push-ups, whatever. So we had a drill sergeant that was really off his rocker. God, I forgot his last name, but he kicked a kid off the Confidence Tower where you learn how to rappel. Like his name was Ashburn. He was. When I say from the South, I mean from the South. And he was scared to go down. He said, "Drill sergeant, the only way I'm gonna get down is if you kick me." Kicked him, and you saw because we had did it. So we're sitting back, and when you sit back in the bleachers, you can see how tall it is, and we can loudly hear him. And you just saw him go, "Boom, bam!" Like he just hit the wall all the way down. So we didn't see drill sergeant no more. So it was always three drill sergeants, and I was lucky. Hey, Battle, I was lucky. I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky, before they changed it over to HRC. Damn. I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky, which was hard. I got my ass whooped there. I got beat up there. Like that 06 was the last year where you could really get off in soldiers' asses, and I guess the sergeant major was just like give them the gusto. I got choked out, beat up, kicked in the back, so I had it bad. But long story short, that drill sergeant had to leave. So we're used to these hard piping drill sergeants. My senior drill sergeant looked like fucking Jason Statham. And I got smoked for 5 minutes one day when I was trying to break the ice. I was like, "You look like Jason Statham from Transport." He was like, "Yeah, I do." And lit my ass up. So I'm used to very aggressive, knife hand. Hey, private, we get this tall, lanky 25 Sierra guy or 25 uniform. It's fucking geeky guy.
Camo.
Yeah, he and you can just tell he doesn't fit in. You can tell. Like he was one of the motherfuckers who probably checked his fucking global was like, fuck. Yeah, the Department of the Army has selected you to go to drill sergeant school. And if you want to see your E7, you got to go. One of them type of motherfuckers. So he had this funny talk. He talked like a parrot. Like he talked like he just had this fucking voice. Knowing me, if you know on me on TikTok, I can sound like Macho Man. So if you have a voice and I can pick up on it, I can imitate you. Well, I had fucked around being homesick, and I got caught on the phone at night talking to my ex-wife, and they didn't say they was going to snitch on me, but of course you can't trust a drill sergeant. Long story short, I had my phone privilege just revoked. So I was just down to writing letters. So when people had their phone time, I would act like all the drill sergeants. And this one day I was cutting up, like I was really into it. And we had 2 soldiers that went AWOL, right? They were found a couple days later. They said they were going to restart them. They put them right back. They didn't want to be there. So they were very disrespectful, unruly, like, it was a bad time. Long story short, I'm acting like the drill sergeant, and I'm like, okay, let's chill. Drill sergeant comes up and says the exact same thing I was mocking him as. And one of the kids who went AWOL looked at him like face to face and fell out laughing. He looked at me, formed a platoon up, marched us back. Everything was cool. One of the soldiers was like, "Hey, Chappelle, drill sergeant's very upset." So he calls me to his office. No battle buddy, no nothing. He tells me in his accent, and I'm trying not to laugh, and I feel bad, but he says, uh, drill sergeant is very disturbed. Now he had tears coming down his eyes. Unfortunately, I had made a drill sergeant cry. He said, "How would you like it if people made fun of your life because of how you talk? How would you feel if people made fun of you your whole life because you had a speech impediment?" And I'm like, man, a brother can't get a break for shit. I lost my phone privileges. I'm over here just having fun, because I know how to sound like my drill sergeants, but I'm sounding like this drill sergeant, and he has a speech impediment. So now I'm basically messing with a guy with a fucking disability, and you could tell in his eyes like he was. I'm like, fuck. Now here's the crazy part. My senior drill sergeant, it was a Sunday. He wasn't there, and I knew Monday morning. That's my ass. And he came that Monday morning, and when I said he fucked me up, he fucked me up. Long story short, my first Article 15 was in basic training, and it said for making Drill Sergeant Kimball upset to the point of something. And I'm looking at my two drill sergeants, and they're trying not to laugh because I was explaining to the cap. Now, remember, I'm not a seasoned soldier. So I'm over here explaining myself to the point of me actually talking like the drill sergeant, trying to get my commander to understand like I meant no malice. I could just talk like how he talks, and I could talk like Drill Sergeant Choir. And they're just like, so long. I didn't lose my rank because I didn't have rank. They tried to say, they tried to scare me like, we're going to restart you. We're going to start you all over again, and you're not going to have family day, because I think we were in blue phase. So I think it was pretty much done. But yeah, my first and only Article 15 is making a drill sergeant cry in basic training.
They told y'all restart. They used to tell us ASMO. We would get ASMO'd. So that's basically going back in the first week.
Yeah.
I went to Fort Benning, Georgia, which is the home of the infantry. And I wasn't even fucking infantry.
Where you from, man? Where you from?
I'm from North Carolina.
Oh, okay, that's why they sent you to the closest one. Yeah.
That's what I think. What's funny about that, because I heard you say blue phase. So here's the funny story. So I get to AIT, to Advanced Individual Training, where you do your job training, and you're talking to everybody else who just got there same time as you, and they were talking about phases, and I was like, "What the fuck? All y'all keep talking about this phase."
Phase 4.
So it was a red phase, white phase, blue phase in basic. And everybody kept talking about it, and I didn't know. See, in Fort Benning, we didn't have red phase, white phase, blue phase. It was just basic training. I went in 01, but still in 01, they were still the same thing. They had red, white, and blue. But I didn't even know that existed until I got to AIT, and people were like, yeah, during red phase, yeah, during white phase. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what the fuck? And everybody knew what it meant except for me and 3 other cats that went to Fort Benning, because we didn't have phases. It was just like, yeah. Plus, I went before 9/11, so it was just like smoke session the whole base.
There was no type shit.
Yeah, like there's no war going on. Matter of fact, I graduated basic. Here's a funny story. I graduated basic September 13th, 2001. Yeah, I graduated 2 days after 9/11. I was in basic when 9/11 hit.
So were you one of the first parties that went over there?
No. So, I was in basic training when 9/11 happened, which we were on the parade field practicing graduation and didn't even know anything had happened. Family Day is a very important day in basic. It's when your family gets to see you for the first time. Our family day got a whole thing. So anyway, our family day was supposed to be September 12th. So a lot of people didn't get to see their family. It was really depressing, really big. Anyway, then I went to AIT. So you got to get job training. The military can't just send you somewhere until you know how to do your fucking job. So the planes were grounded. We couldn't leave basic, even though we had graduated. Then September 15th, 2001, they opened flights up for government travel only so we could leave. So all of us went to our job training. So I got to Fort Huachuca, Arizona, which is where I did training. I was in military intelligence in September of 2001. October comes around. And I remember coming downstairs on I think it was like a Saturday, it might have been a Friday. Coming downstairs, and there was a bunch of people crowded around the TV in the day room. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? I come over and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? We just invaded Afghanistan. We just invaded Afghanistan. So that was October 2001. But then after I graduated there, part of my job is a language. So I had to go to language training in California. And I remember I was in California in March 2003, a few months from my graduation. My language is a year and a half long because it was a level 4 language, Cat 4. Anyway, March 2003, I just got back from grabbing my lunch, and I walked into the day room in my barracks, and there's a bunch of people around the TV. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? We just invaded Iraq. So both those invasions had happened before I even completed, because my specific job, my job training is 2 years long between job training and language training. But as soon as we got out of language training and into the real army, oh yeah,
it was time to go.
It's send you to Iraq as much as possible, send you to Afghanistan as much as possible. It's fucking deployment after deployment.
Yeah, and so what I want to ask y'all is, because I know we're starting to get pretty late, and I kind of want to get to the root of it. For any vets that are watching who may be struggling with acclimating back to civilian life, who may be struggling with homelessness or with PTSD, suicidal ideation, just struggling at this point. Do y'all have any words that you would like to say that you think might have helped you when you were acclimating back to civilian life?
I mean, acclimation is a ongoing process, right? So, like, you know, there's ebb and flow to PTSD. PTSD, you got your good days, you got your bad days, you got your up days, you got down days. So, like, I can go years. Not that many years, maybe a couple of years, but I can go a couple of years. Good. Like, good means I got my anxiety at bay. It's still there. And I have my times where I wake up and the night sweats and that kind of stuff, but it's okay. I'm getting through it. And then I can go through another year where it's like, I can't fight this shit. It's fucking heavy. It's got the best of me. I mean, I've had suicidal thoughts so many fucking times. For me, the one thing that's really kept me alive, as it were, is my kids. Like, for some reason, like, that's enough for me. Like, when I think about leaving my kids, that's enough for me. I don't kill myself, but I've been suicidal here recently. Actually, only a few months ago. Like, even though I'm TikTok famous, this is shit I don't post on social media. But 3 months ago, very, very close to suicide. I won't go into details of that, but I was very, 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 very close. And then it was stopped. But yeah, I mean, we have our ebb and flow. We have our good days and our bad days, and we have our times where this is the darkest moment of your life. And that's just something that what helps me is understanding that this isn't unique to me, right? Like, it's not just me. Lots of people have these feelings that have been in my shoes. Lots of people have this ebb and flow. And what helps me is there's a suicide hotline you can call. If you're a veteran, you can call this hotline, and they'll immediately get you the counselor, get someone on the phone. They'll set you up a counselor the next day. And there's been a couple times where I've been very suicidal. Like, I feel like I'm leaning towards that way. I'll call that number because I would rather just give myself that chance. Like, my whole thing is give myself a chance to live, right? So, like, if I saw somebody else about to die, right, I would save them. So just save yourself. And every time I call that number, I always feel like this is stupid. Like, I don't want to talk to this motherfucker. I don't want nobody to talk to me, but I just dial it anyway. And they'll talk to you, and then they'll call you and they'll bug you, but it's worthwhile in the end because it saves your life. So, like, I know it sucks. Like, I never want help. I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to get help. I just don't want to do it. But fuck, you would save somebody else's life. Save your own. You know what I mean? And I know how that feels. I know how it feels when you're that close to fucking suicide, like that close, like kissing death on the cheek. Been there, done that. And I'm sure I'll be there again. There's ebb and flow to this shit. But just dialing that number, if it's not the fucking VA number, just dial your fucking Anybody, just dial somebody that you think would save your life. I tell people this: if you were drowning in a pool, who can you really count on to save your life? Who can you count on be paying attention to you, to care about you enough to notice that you were drowning? Because if they didn't notice you were drowning, you're going to drown anyway. Who would you want beside that? Who would you want on the fucking side of the pool in a chair while you're drowning? Because you know they'll save your life. That's the person you call when you're about to commit suicide. If you were locked up and they told you your bail is $1,000 and you get $1,000 a night, you get the fuck out of jail, who the fuck would you call? Because you know that they'll fucking find that money to get you out because that's your people. Call them when you're about to kill yourself, right? So we have to take the taboo out of suicide. We got to talk about it. You know, it doesn't have to be this depressing conversation where, yeah, I was suicidal and everybody pat you on the back and says, look, bro, look, I'm here to tell you suicidal thoughts is very high amongst veterans. Been there, done that. I'm not ashamed to say it. And I'm sure I'll be there again. There's times where I no bullshit question, like maybe I won't live this year. Like maybe I'll fucking die this year. But when I get this close to actually doing it, just call the number. Just call the fucking number. I literally last time that happened, I called the number and I didn't even want to talk to him. The lady was like, "Are you having suicidal thoughts?" And I was like, "I mean, yeah." And I was reluctant to answer her questions, and I'm the motherfucker that called her because you don't want to do it. But why not just give yourself that one little fucking last chance? That's my whole thing to veterans. I tell veterans that, you know, because I've been there and done that, and I've been in your shoes. Like, fuck, we don't need this big, long, beautiful speech, this well thought out philosophical idea. It's this simple. If you saw somebody else dying, would you save them? Okay, so when you see yourself dying, just dial the number. Just dial the number, and if it doesn't work, you'll kill yourself anyway. But if it does work, you saved your own life. And that's my whole thing. Just that one, give yourself that one last chance. That's my thing.
I appreciate that so much. Can you email me that number so I can go ahead and I can put it?
Yeah, if you put in
box?
VA crisis hotline, it'll pop right up. Like it's like the first thing. It's called the crisis hotline.
Okay. I definitely appreciate that. And I like how you said that even if you don't want to call the crisis hotline, reach out to someone. That's important. Because I feel like we all in our lives have someone that does care enough that's going to be there to talk you off the ledge. And sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger and let it out. Sometimes it's easier to talk to a friend. Eddie, Lauren, what about y'all? What is something that you would... Thank you, Conway. Thank you. What is something that y'all would say to a veteran who's struggling?
That's the number. Yeah, that's the number. 8255. That's the fucking number.
Since I got to get ready to hop off after I say this, I got to get ready to hop off. What I can tell to a veteran, get help. Like, if you know there's a problem, address it. You know, handle it. Jolly pretty much covered everything. Get help. You know, I understand. We feel how we feel about the VA, or we feel how we feel about the system, or people failing us. But at the same time, if I hate to sound callous, but my dad was saying, like, if you really want to kill yourself, you're not going to tell nobody.
No, that's
You know
true.
what I mean? So if you want to kill yourself and you want to tell somebody, there's people that number, and you can call them and they can talk to you about it and let you know what it really is. Because if you want to do it, you're just going to do it. So if you need to talk to someone. Like, it's perfectly okay. Eddie Brock does. Jolly Ginger just admitted it. You know what I mean? So if you feel some type of way, Brock, Jolly, we admit, you know, yeah, we're strong. You know, getting help and talking to someone don't mean you're a punk. Don't mean you're a sucker.
Right.
Well, you can still bust a motherfucker head to the white meat. You know what I mean? But at the same time, don't bullshit yourself. Don't lie to yourself. If you know you don't got it, you don't got it. And if you don't got it, that means you recognize you don't got it. Talk to someone about it, and they can help you get it. End of fucking story. It's too easy. I mean, I know it's easier said than done.
I mean, and on that note, what I was trying to get at, I'm glad he said it that way, because that's exactly what I'm trying to get at. My whole thing is, even if you don't want to talk to somebody, because you're right, if you can kill yourself, you can kill yourself. Even if you don't want to talk to somebody, just do it anyway. That's my whole message. Because my whole thing is, if it doesn't work, you'll kill yourself anyway. So you're going to get to the same end result. Okay. So
Exactly.
what? Literally, not the last time, but the time before that, I was very close to killing myself. Like it was going to happen. I called the number after. I guess I could say, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Making a deal with myself, like when negotiating with myself. My thing was just call the number, and if it don't work, you kill yourself anyway. You're gonna kill yourself anyway. That's my whole thing. Like, give yourself that one last chance. So if you want to talk to somebody, like Eddie said, do it. And my whole thing is, when you get to the point where you don't want to talk to somebody, just do it anyway. Because if it doesn't work, fuck it, you'll do it anyway, right? So that's my whole thing.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on, man. I got to bounce like I can't even say that, but
I do anyway. I do. I got to do the same thing.
Now, man. So thank you for having me on, Jess. Need me anytime, hit me up. I got you. Jolly, I got your number. Lauren, Miss High Vegan, we're gonna have to get at one day.
Most definitely.
I just shot. Well, I've been shot you a friend request if you didn't get it already on TikTok, because when she put out the video who was going to be in it, I don't remember, and this is a running thing with me. You know what I'm saying? You might be in the live, and I'll be like, "Oh, that's so and so," because I just be high, so I don't be really
same, bro. Same.
Don't assimilate. But I found you. Look for my request. Follow me on TikTok, and we can definitely chop it up. But yeah, man, I got to get ready to bounce. So thank you for having me on. I appreciate the dialogue. This was an awesome talk. Maybe Jess want to do something else with veterans. We can get a little bit more deep into the stuff with the military. You want to do it again? I'll be here for it. You got my number, Jolly. You got my number. Y'all be easy. And I'll talk to you later.
All right, now.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on.
No problem. Peace.
All right, Lauren.
All right.
I'm gonna leave this number up on the screen for the duration of this, just so that way it's there. It's there.
Look, I'm trying to point at it on my side.
Oh, you got it. You nailed it.
Yeah, my finger, I had to, you got to adjust because I'm
I like them nails. She ain't pointing nothing. She's showing the nails off. She's showing the nails off.
They don't click. They ain't that long no more because I had to chop them. But like Jolly, like Eddie, I've been in that situation. I've also attempted suicide and of course failed because here I am. I'm here. Wasn't my time. What I would have to say is, man, if you get help, it don't mean that you are less than. It doesn't mean that you are crazy. Black people, the same thing. It does not mean that you are less than. It does not mean that you are crazy. We as veterans have been through so much. We've seen a lot. We've done a lot from the rooter to the tutor. Nobody will believe what we have gone through. The things that we have gone through, the things that we have seen. And we cannot handle these traumas by ourselves. We need somebody to release all of that out. We might not want to relive everything that we've gone through. And a lot of us, those images continue to play in our head of everything that has happened, and it feels like it's never going to go away. But you have to seek the help. It always starts, you don't know it until you try it. Get the help. It's all right. It's okay. I would rather for you to get help and try than to see that another one of my brothers or sisters at arms has committed suicide because of the thoughts that consume us, the nightmares that we have, the things that we have to relive every night. It's okay. It's all right to get help. And if you don't want to talk to them, you can always hit me up in my DMs again at hi.vegan1911 on TikTok. You can hit me up on the Instagram at the same thing. I'll talk to you. I'll try to get you in the right direction. Um, but or a loved one, even if you think they're not gonna understand, talk to someone that you truly, truly can count on. Not somebody who's always been down on your tail the whole time. Somebody you can truly, truly count on. Somebody that you know is never gonna leave your side, no matter how you feeling. Talk to somebody. It's all right. And that's it.
But and I love that you said that. Talk to somebody who's gonna be there no matter what, no matter how you're feeling, because it's okay to not be okay. And I can't speak in this space as a veteran, but I can speak as somebody who has attempted suicide and struggles with suicidal ideations, and as somebody who has loved ones who are service members. Everybody on this panel that came tonight, I do consider a loved one, because if you come onto my show, you are family. That means I am there for you 24/7, whenever and however you need. And it's like everybody here has been saying, reach out. The most important time to reach out is when you don't want to. Because you may be going through it alone, but you don't have to. And that doesn't mean that we'll understand what you went through, because everybody's trauma is like a fingerprint. No trauma is exactly alike. But even though we may not understand, we can be there for you, whether and make sure that you trust them. Your wife, your husband, your sister, your brother, your mom, your dad, therapist. It's okay to reach out. It's okay to not be okay. And that doesn't make you weak or lesser than, as Lauren was saying. I think this conversation tonight was really important, and I am not going to thank anybody for their service, because I realize that they'll hate that.
Thank you for not thanking me for my goddamn service.
Look, I ain't gonna do that. But I do want to thank y'all for coming on here and being so open and candid about your experiences. And I do want to thank you for giving me the time, and also being patient when the live wanted to go ahead and act all fucky and Kevin wanted to get pissed off because Jolly said, "Don't thank me for my fucking service."
Look, I made a video about that last year too. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I
no,
made a
you
video
good.
about that last year, about being a veteran and, you know, the country I serve not loving me, all of that. Like, why? I don't want you to thank me for nothing.
For facts, bro.
And you know what? The best way the United States could thank veterans is by treating them with respect and like human fucking beings. Because even though you guys may not see yourselves as heroes, you guys did give your bodies and minds to basically a
oligarchy who is anyway, I don't want to get on that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Right.
To a country that's full of shit.
Exactly. Who doesn't even give a damn about y'all.
But I can't say that because last time I said that, your live got cut off.
Look, we ending anyway. But I want to thank y'all for coming on. I want to thank everybody in the comments for interacting, and y'all taught me so much. Like, I have so much information that I am absorbing right now, and I truly, truly appreciate it. And I hope that civilians who watch this, also take time to absorb all of this knowledge and kind of understand the misconceptions that we as civilians have heard, because it's basically like everything else. America has fucking lied to us.
Of course.
So thank you everybody for joining.
Hey, Lauren, pleasure to meet you, by the way.
I'm gonna go and then we'll, kiki it backstage like we always do.
Oh, that's right. Hell, I'm hot.
Y'all, he's so hot, and I'm here for it. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm not even going to tell you not to be a dick. Go ahead, be a dick. Do you? But remember, if you're struggling, if you have been assaulted, please reach out. Please report it. Happy Veterans Day.